Do you miss the values, the old-time family? Do you dream this land stays free under God, not tyranny? That's what it means to really dream.
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, November the 3rd. And Don, we are on week number 31. That is amazing.
It's amazing.
I tell you what, they haven't kicked us off the air yet, and we really appreciate all our listeners. We're on every Wednesday live at 10 a.m. on Axe Media Group's Facebook page and also on YouTube. And then also, for the dummies like me that don't understand all of the different types of social platforms, I wrote them down.
We're on Rumble, Daily Motion, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
And Twitter.
And Twitter.
So I think there's 6 different social platforms. And you know what? Between Matt, our producer, we're all volunteers here. And I know Jim Whining, our executive director that really runs Axe Ministry, they'll come up with a 7th social platform and then the 8th and stuff like that, because everybody will check one of those platforms out and stuff like that. So we're in Southwest Missouri. I don't know, we got people all over the world as well as the country listening in right now. So we're in Southwest Missouri. We're going to get our first frost tonight, guys. So we've got, at my house, we've got certain plants I've got to bring in today and other plants I've got to cover today. So we're going to have our hands full. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. And Don, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you're going to talk to our first guest.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to say to everybody listening out there today, this show is for you. Lynn always tells you that. But if you guys have any suggestions for future shows, please reach out to us here on AMG and tell people about us. Share this so that other people can enjoy it. I am so excited about the topic that we're going to be talking about today. And it really fits in changing times, because when I was growing up as a kid, it was really hard to become a published author. I mean, it was almost an impossible task unless you had like an army surrounding you and helping you get it done. But today with technology and everything, really anybody can become a published author that puts the time in and all of that. So today we're going to be talking about being a writer. And we have 2 phenomenal writers with us today. So I'm excited to pick their brain and have them give you guys some information. And I'm an aspiring writer. So I have been working on a book, Lynn, for the past 5 years. And Angela Denny is my friend. And so she started a company called Pages and Pie Publishing. And so I reached out to her to just kind of help me get through the last little bit on my book and get it out there. And so invited her on today. And so thank you for coming on today, Angela.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And it's a great book, by the way.
Well, thank you. So tell us, how did you get started in publishing?
Well, a couple years ago when the pandemic hit, I was sitting at home like most of America, just kind of waiting it out. And I had this thought, if this is the last thing that I do with my life, is this where I want to be? And it wasn't. And so I started Pages and Pie Publishing because I've always been passionate about books and reading, and always wanted to get into the publishing business.
Okay, awesome. Well, tell us more about Pages and Pie Publishing and what kind of services you offer.
Yeah, okay. So we believe at Pages and Pie Publishing that everybody has a story. We believe that and are really looking to align with stories that motivate, inspire, and entertain. We feel like right now, with the world being what it is, we need those things. We need some inspiration and motivation. And sometimes we just need to take our minds off of things, So we really work to publish high quality books and get those stories out there so everybody can be entertained or inspired.
So how do people find you if they're interested in learning more about your services?
Well, I have a website. It is pagesandpiepublishing.com. You can reach out to me through that. My email address is angela@pagesandpiepublishing.com. So theme running through there. But yeah.
That's great. Now, you're the one who actually told me about this November Writer Challenge that's going on. And so kind of tell everybody, what is that, and just any information on what's going on in November.
Okay. Yeah, November is NaNoWriMo, which stands for National Novel Writing Month. And we want to align with that because we have a lot of writers that we work with who do a lot of prep work. They do a lot of outlines and a lot of trying to figure out what their story is, but they haven't started writing yet. And so during the month of November, we commit to write 1,500 words per day. And by the end of November, ideally, we have 50,000 words, which is pretty close to book length, depending on your genre. And so we want to get people out there and get them writing.
Great. Well, I was actually talking to an 18-year-old boy today who does not know what he's going to do with his life. And he just started writing a book. And I said, man, this is awesome. This is November. This is the time to get behind that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one thing that I really enjoy about meeting other writers is that people give insight into helping other writers. I guess that's because you know what it's like to be the writer starting out. But I appreciate that. What advice would you give to somebody just starting out writing?
Good question. Well, I would say you just have to do it. That sounds a little bit basic, but I mostly tell people to set a time. If you're a morning person, if you're a night person, if you only have time at your lunch break, set that time, actually write it down on your calendar, and then show up for yourself. You know, give yourself some time to do that every single day and form a habit of creating and writing during that time. It takes about 21 days to create a habit. So if you started now and went through November, you'd probably be in the habit of doing it. But yeah, just finding that writing process and finding that time.
Now, tell us about the book that you have published right now.
Okay. Well, it's a thriller. And I've always loved thriller. I read everything as a child, but once I found thriller, I mostly stuck with that. They say the best writers are readers, and so I transitioned into writing at a young age at 13. But the book that's out is about a female who has her life together and things are going really well until her mom shows up murdered. And she has to figure out why and if she's the next target. And she's got to figure out the things in her life that she thought were okay that just aren't okay, and move forward from there.
Now, and you have a sequel to that book coming out?
Yes, I do. The sequel is done. It is with the editors right now. And it will be hopefully, crossing fingers, December when it comes out. And during November, I'm working on the third one.
And what's the title of your book?
It's What Comes Before Dawn.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to say a little bit about what I have learned, and just being honest as a writer. You know, I had a professor believe in me, Lynn, about 6-7 years ago when I first started getting into writing. And I was not the best student growing up with like my English and grammar and punctuation. That was not my strong suit. And so I kind of eliminated writing from the list really early on because it wasn't, you know, what I was, technically good at. But I'm very creative. And I had a professor tell me, you know, Dawn, being creative is the hardest part. You can hire an editor. Mm-hmm. And you can hire someone to coach you and help you with all that, but it's really sparking the ideas. So if you have a good idea out there, hold on to that good idea and foster it and believe in yourself. I think sometimes with writing, you have to believe in yourself. You have to put in that work and you have to bring forth your story. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of writers I know that have been writing novels for, say, 5 years, the same book, and that book is still not out. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone that's sitting in that position?
I would say start writing your next one. Just because the more you write, the better you get. And at this point, you're probably just in that revision and editing process with your writing if you wrote it 5 years ago. And so write something new and write something new and write something new until you get to the point that you really are proud of something that you've written. And even if that means shelving the other one that you've written for 5 years, you can come back to it later.
Okay, that's great advice.
Mhm.
And then also if they haven't gotten in front of an editor or had
Yeah.
reviews or something like that,
Yeah.
let it loose. I think it's
Yeah.
hard as a writer to let other people read your writing.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I will say too that we have two different sides of our brain, and one is analytical and one is creative. And so when I tell people at the beginning of their process, when they're creating and they're first writing, really try to shut down that editor brain. Don't edit as you go. Just create, just get the words down on paper. And again, you can hire that editor, or you can go through it later and switch gears and go into it with editor brain.
So just to talk a little bit about Pages and Pie and
Mm-hmm.
how it's working with, for instance, with my book,
Mhm.
one thing that I think people are worried about is, giving away ownership of their book, or if
Mhm.
someone publishes their book, then they no longer own their book. But with Pages and Pie, the writer retains those rights. You're
Yes.
just helping them with the process of getting
Yes.
them on Barnes and Noble and Amazon and all of
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. We are first and foremost an author services company. So we provide all of those things that get your book from here to here and ready to publish.
Okay, well, I know there's a lot of resources out there as far as podcast and, really can dive into learning more about what it is to be an author. What resource comes to mind that you would tell people to look into?
Golly, what I would tell people to do is just keep reading. Because again, the best readers are become really good writers. And so read everything you can get your hands on. I think my favorite is Stephen King's On Writing. Surprisingly, that is my favorite Stephen King book. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
Hey, I've got a question.
yeah.
So this is going to be a technical question.
Sure.
So I love pie. I love all kinds of pie. So pages and pies. I get the pages.
Sure.
Okay, but where did you come up with pie? Because I like cherry pie. I love cherry pie, pecan pie,
Mhm.
strawberry pie, apple pie. So now, why pie?
Well, I think of pie kind of like the different genres that are out there with books. There are hundreds of different kinds of pies, hundreds of different kinds of genres. When you put them all together, sometimes it's like, pie's a comfort food. Reading a book can be very comforting. Quite honestly, we have a bigger vision where we will eventually have a retail location where we will sell pie and books all in the same place. And so you're kind of jumping ahead a little bit there.
Yeah, well, very good. I tell you what, so what I got out of reading some information about you and also Synova is both of you are helping people publish books, sharing their story. And so they've got to share their story. You're going to write, you're going to help them write it. You're going to help them edit it. You got editors developing the book, and then finally publishing the book. So those are all is there any element there that we've missed that there's going to be a stage of that you're going to help people with?
Yes, we will help them with cover design, which is incredibly important for marketing. I mean, you can judge a book by its cover, and you should when you're looking at a book. So that cover needs to tell what the genre is when you first look at it, and pull people in. And then we'll also work on their back cover copy, which is that what is it about, and make sure it really is about. Yes, you want to pull in the reader, but at the same time, you want to make sure that it's accurate, an accurate depiction of what the book is.
I'm writing a book too, so I'm still working on it. Synova is going to help me with this book, and
Congratulations.
and so it's called the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Missouri State Government. I don't think anybody's ever written about it, and certainly not truthfully talking about both parties and how we function as a state government. But some really good things, but obviously we need to talk about the things that we need to do better. But I've got an English bulldog that's very photogenic, and most of those bulldogs are with their teeth. They need to have their teeth straightened and things like that, and they have their tongue sticking out one side. I was going to have her as the Facebook cover of my book, but I don't know how I relate that to state government. So,
hey, one of my mentors, she has a book called Be a Dog with a Bone, and it's all about hanging on and pushing through and, and not letting anything intimidate you to stop. Her name's Peggy McCall. So check out that. That'll be a shameless plug for her. But maybe she's an author coach, and she's really good.
Well, maybe I need to write a different book and have Tootsie on the front.
Put your Tootsie on the front.
Yeah. All right. Oh, very good.
Dog.
Well, I'll let you take it over, Lynn.
Well, okay, we'll go ahead and get started. And then I'm kind of excited today that not only do we have these two great ladies on today, this is our first week where we're actually going to have a sponsor, Don.
Right.
And so we are working on 5 sponsors for this particular show, Changing Times. And our first sponsor that we're going to promote at the 20-minute mark today is Brad Posteau. He's a certified fiduciary financial planner. And without saying anything else, I just want to give a shout out to Brad and his son, Hunter Posteau, and Lisa, their great front desk person that handles everything and gives out lots of nice, good candy, not just during the Halloween, but anytime you go over there and see Brad for financial retirement advice. And so we're going to talk about him at our 20-minute break. And then hopefully next week we'll have another couple of sponsors. And before the end of the year, we should have our 5 sponsors lined up. And that will be great to help us to continue to raise money to buy more equipment, to where our next big goal would be to have people be able to call in, just like our radio show, Synova. When you were on my radio program, we had pretty sophisticated equipment over there, and it was nice to have. I love having guests in-house, but sometimes you can't do that, so you have to have somebody call in. And then also think about it. If we had people that wanted to learn how to write, they could be calling and asking questions to you guys today. That's our goal for this next year, is to be able to interact with our show, and people could call in from wherever and do that. But we're going to go ahead and get started. A friend of mine that I've known for a while now, Synova Cantrell. So good morning.
Good morning, Lynn.
So,
how are you?
Just fine. You look great. This is what I always picture at, as a hat, and the outfit you have on is just beautiful. And so, you've written a lot of books since the last time that I talked to you on my radio show.
Yeah.
So you've got over 10 books published.
10 are published now and 2 are out of print. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you told Don and I before the show started, I thought was interesting, you're kind of working on maybe 6 books at a time.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
And so that's cool, because that's what Angela was talking about. If one kind of stalls and stuff like that, you kind of bounce back and forth with your ideas. It's something you pick up when you're sleeping. You didn't go to that book, and then you see something out shopping one day and you go to that book, and stuff like that. So maybe that's what I need to do. I've been stuck on this one book for about 1.5 years now, and I'm thinking maybe I should write 2 books.
Write one with your Tootsie.
Dog. Yeah. So
you could make it a better title, not a better title, just another title. It could be Doggone Politics.
Doggone Politics. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be great. Good ideas. I'm gonna write that down. But
my thing is, I have 2 different sides of my business, and so I always have several projects in the works on one side, and then several projects on the author coaching side. So that's the reason why I have so many. I have 3 on the true crime side and 3 on the author coaching. And I'll let you ask the questions.
One thing I'm interested in is you've got a blog.
Yes.
And how many people? 500,000 people on this blog?
My blog goes out to a potential of 500,000 each week.
Yeah. So some of them aren't paying attention, but they have to be somewhat paying attention. And some of them are really paying attention. That means you've got a lot of followers.
Yeah. And I'm very strategic about it. If you go on each of my platforms, I'm on all of those things except for, you said, what was it, Rumble?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out. I'm not on that.
Yeah. I thought it was wrestling.
Yeah.
And I used to box.
Bring it on.
I used to box at the boys club, and I was kind of excited. I thought maybe it was a sports platform.
I have to check that one out. I'm not on that one, but I'm very strategic. If you look at each one of my things, all of my people aren't on one thing. And that's one of the things I teach the authors that follow me. You don't want to have to depend on Facebook for your livelihood. You don't want to have to depend on YouTube. Yes, I have all of these things, but where my big following is and where my monthly income comes from is the fact that they're all come into my corner and they are on my mailing list. And that's what I try to teach authors. If you don't have a list, you're not going to have a monthly income. So where I have a monthly income, it's not quite where I want it to be yet. I want to retire my husband, but I do want to be able to teach authors that that's where the business is. It's in your list. It doesn't matter how far you are if you don't have a list. I think it's your time.
Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and take a real quick break here, and when we get back, we'll talk about you got not just a vlog, but you've also got a podcast that you're working on. We'll talk about 2 of them, so we're going to talk about that. But I want to go ahead and take time now, and appreciate our listeners paying attention to this, because it is never too early to think about retirement. Think about right now with inflation and with the stock market going up and down like a yo-yo. It's dangerously going low, then it goes lower, then it bounces back up a little bit. But you're never really making a lot of money when it's like that. You can only make money when it's going straight up, okay? And most individuals don't have the time to worry about the stock market every day and figure out what to sell, what to hold, and things like this. So Brad Posteau, a certified fiduciary financial planner right there in Ozark, Missouri. His address is 5511 Farmer Branch Road in Ozark, Missouri. The company that he owns is Trinity Insurance and Financial Services. And I'm going to give the number more than one time. It's 581. Now I got to dial 417 in Missouri. 417-581-9222. 581-9222. When you call that number, you're going to get Lisa that's going to answer the phone. You can tell that she's smiling when she's answering the phone and talking to you. And you can give her your name and address, and they will send you a book. They're #1 best-selling on Amazon for investment and retirement planning. #1, Safe Money Matters. You'll get it free. You don't even have to go in. Now, I recommend you go in like me and my wife, Janet, because we put all our retirement funds with Brad Posteau. And I don't have to worry about the stock market going up and down. I've got a guaranteed rate of income. And I also don't have to worry if the stock market goes down $1 or 1,000 points. I don't have to worry. I will never lose my principal with the plans that he has. So I'm telling you, you need to go if you live anywhere in Southwest Missouri. And then also he does business in other states. He's licensed in many, many states. So you can email him or call him and find out how to do that, because he has a lot of financial clients in other states. And when you also call, and at this time of the year, people like me, Medicare eligible, right now is the open enrollment time getting ready to start. And it's really critical for the next 45 days to make sure you have a Medicare specialist that can get you the right plan with the right benefits. And Hunter, his son, specializes in Medicare. So we've got a man who specializes in retirement planning, and we've got a man who specializes in Medicare, which will help you with your retirement planning and things like that, making sure you're not spending money that you don't have to spend as a senior and things like that. So I highly recommend them. And then also, Brad has just got a brand new book out called Bulletproof. And so we're going to have a way to give away some books as we go on. He's our first week sponsor, and we're going to be giving some books away. So you're going to need to pay attention. And then when Don says, hey, send us an email to either her email or my email, you're going to have to respond, because if you want a free book, you're going to have to respond to us, and we'll start getting some people to send that. But anyway, we're really proud of Brad Posteau. He's right in Ozark, Missouri. And last story about Brad is Janet and I, we read the USA Today, and we were in Florida reading the USA Today, and Brad writes articles for USA Today and other big publications all over the United States. And his name, Brad Posteau, Pistole. I thought it was pistol. I didn't know how to pronounce it. And I'm reading this, and it made a lot of sense. His article made a lot of sense. And I told Janet, we were just getting ready to retire from our pharmacy business. And I said, this man is really smart. This sounds good to me. This sounds like something I wonder where, I wish I knew where he lived. But this is how God works. I come back to Ozark off vacation, and I'm eating breakfast somewhere in Ozark, and this man starts to talk about Brad Posteau. I listen in, and I said, excuse me, sir. I said, Brad Posteau, is he a financial advisor? Yes, he's right here in Ozark. I use him. I said, hallelujah, I'm going to go see him too. I mean, from Florida where I saw it and to hear it in Ozark a week later, and he's in Ozark. And so if you live anywhere in Southwest Missouri, I'd recommend that. So anyway, we're going to get back and get started. Yeah, that phone number is 581-9222, and we'll have his email address and other things on there as we go along. He's even going to do a live 20-minute interview in December, because all our sponsors are going to do a 20-minute interview where we can get to know them and all the services they offer and everything like that. So it's just going to be fantastic. So we appreciate them. So, okay, let's get back. So you've got two different types of podcasts that you're doing.
Yes, I've got two different sides of my business. I write true crime as a victim's advocate to raise awareness about cases and bring in leads. So I just started a podcast on that. And then I do author coaching on the other side of my business. It's Synova Simply Biz. And I teach people the things that I had to learn the hard way, because I've been published. My first time I was published in a magazine was 2008, something like that. It's been a while. And then I was published. I had over 100 publishing credits in magazines and newspapers before I started going online and then getting books published and things. And so I lost track of how many publishing things I had, but I learned things the hard way. And now you don't have to do things that way. And so I try to take coaching clients and I try to tell them, this is just things that I have learned. So when you start out of the gate, you're a little bit ahead of the pack. You don't have to start where I start. You don't have to make all the mistakes. You can start out ahead of the pack. I'm really excited to meet you and talk to you after the show, because when they get done taking some of my coaching courses and some of my different programs, I like to refer them to editors and refer them to cover design artists and things. And sounds like you have a whole staff on that. Yeah. So I'm excited to talk to you. It's like, I can send you some business. But yeah, so I have a podcast that I just started on the coaching side called Coffee with Synova. And I mean, I literally just started it. I think I've got 2 episodes up. And then I've got my Chasing Justice podcast for the true crime side. But yeah, I've got a little bit of probably ADHD, and I tell them you can make that a disability or a superpower. So I choose to just overproduce and make it a superpower. So that's what I do.
Well, that's a great story. And one of the things I want listeners to make sure they understand is Synova is writing about true cases, real things that have happened, usually negative things, murders. We even mentioned about the art robbery in Springfield, Missouri in one of your books when someone stole a bunch of the Campbell Andy Warhol's Campbell Soup artwork and stuff like that. Never found the person to do that.
Never got the paintings either.
No, so I don't know where they're at. And then you also helped with trying to find the 3 women, the mom and the daughter and the friend that was missing out of Springfield. Tragically, we've never come to a completion of that. And I know you still work on that from time to time. And you work with, so my daughter who's getting married this Saturday is marrying the lead detective down in Taney County. And so I really like Pat because he's a law enforcement detective, and so we've been talking a little bit, trying to give him some advice. No, not really. but I like listening to some of the stories that he tells and things like that. Of course, he can only tell them after they've solved them and stuff like that. But it's just interesting listening to that side of life and things like that. But I just want people to know you do dangerous work from time to time. I mean, you're talking to criminals and you don't know. Sometimes you have good intuition after a while, whether they're telling you the truth or not telling you the truth, but you could be set up and bad things could happen. So, but you're helping solve cases. You said at least 4 cases have been solved since you've gotten involved, and that's awesome.
Yeah, we've gotten leads on 4 different major cases, and some of them have led to arrests. Yeah. And then, of course, with the Dixie Mafia, the first Dixie Mafia book I wrote, we actually helped solve that case, but it's old enough now. We're not sure if we're going to be able to get anyone to pick it up and take it to court or not. We're still hoping they do. But I just keep pushing it. And my job necessarily isn't to solve the case. My job is to stir up enough publicity about it. Because I told someone I don't have a badge. I'm not a superhero. I can't do anything. I can write. I have an ink pen. I know how to string words together, and I know how to market. And so if I get to talk to these mothers who have gone decades and don't know where their children are, and unfortunately, the way our news media is set up nowadays, they are in for ratings. They're not in for news, they're in for ratings. And so if this isn't an anniversary of this mother's daughter going missing, they won't talk to her. It's not news. And I get so angry and furious because I'm like, if it was your daughter, it would be news every dang day.
Yeah.
Oh, can we say dang?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But I get upset because I'm like, this is somebody that's hurting. This is somebody that needs answers, whether it's good or bad. It's news to them. And so I take the time to care about these people, and I work as a victims advocate for Missouri Missing is what I do. And so a lot of times when I write, it's not about the gory details, which I could make more money if I did the gory details and I did the big famous cases, but that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it to help these people get their cases solved. And so you read my true crime, you won't get the gory details. You will get the facts, you will get the information you need, and you'll get the information on where to call in if you have some information, because I know that mother's reading my work. And I'm not going to do anything to cause her more pain or him more pain. And so that's what I do. But I've learned a lot about business and marketing because I needed to pull in numbers for that. And that's one of the things I tell writers. If you can align your writing to a passion, if you can align your writing to something bigger than yourself, then it will propel you forward and help you reach goals you never thought you could attain. Because when you find that fire, that will propel you through when you're tired, when you don't feel good, to come to things like this. When you're not feeling put together. I'm sitting here in a back brace because I broke my back last year trying to recover and get myself going, but I worked throughout the whole thing because I had that fire to help these people. And then, of course, with the author coaching side of my business, I have a lot of people that cross over, victims that have found their footing and want to write their story for other people. So I've got a lot of crossover in between. But you're supposed to be asking me questions.
Well,
I'm not just supposed to talk for
so
an
I just
hour.
want to make sure people know your newest blog that you just started is going to be, hopefully people all over the country, around the world, is going to send tips to you, ideas to you, and everyone's going to see that, and we can help solve more problems, more cases, and things like that. So the book that you brought today, The Dawn of the Dixie Mafia. Now I know you've written 2 books on this subject, and which book is it that we're making a movie out of? Is it this book or the other book?
Well, they are talking about it.
Together.
Yeah, we're still in negotiations. It's not official yet.
Yeah,
we've had some papers and we've had some put ink on paper. So that's what I can say.
We pray that it gets started. So I just sent a message up to God to get that thing going. So,
thank you.
So we want to get that done.
Well, Lynn, what I love is, right here at AMG X Ministry, we are all about unity in the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And I love that God calls us into all different kinds of callings, to serve for the kingdom and for different purposes. And, both of you helping people get published that may have a great story that needs to get out. You helping solve crimes, bring awareness, being an advocate. The Lord knows that we need more people like you guys out there. And I appreciate all of the advice that you give and all of that. And I'm going to ask you a question. Sure. If you could tell a new writer anything, what would your advice be to a new writer?
You want just one thing?
Yeah, whatever you want to tell them.
I built a whole coaching business around.
So they need to go to your coaching business.
No, mainly the first thing you need to do is don't let intimidation stop you. I guess we're supposed to be looking at the camera. Don't let intimidation stop you. Because everyone thinks that you have to have some certain something that they're lacking to be an author. And I hesitate to even give examples because everybody has a different mindset of what an author has to have, a requirement to become an author. And none of those are true. First thing you need to realize is you don't have to be a grammar Nazi to be a writer. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree in English. Most Americans read at a 7th grade level. They want the conversationalist tone. They don't necessarily want it written like Shakespeare. There are some nerds like me that I love Shakespeare. I still read Old English text. I love those things and I want to write with all the frills. But can you imagine me writing true crime in the Shakespearean style? So I'm sitting here, no, it wouldn't work, but that is kind of an intimidation factor to a lot of new writers. They think they have to, they think they're not enough. They need to have this. And every person has a different thing. And I'm like, no, you need to get out of your own way and you need to just do it. That's what she said. Don't let intimidation stop you. When I got the call to come here, I'm sitting here going, I haven't done anything but Zoom calls in 2 years. Yeah. I'm going to have to sit there in a back brace. I'm going to have to sit there, and I'm sitting here going, first thing, hit intimidation. But I have trained myself. If I get hit with intimidation, there isn't nothing in this world going to stop me from doing it. Okay. And so that's what you got to do. Don't let intimidation stop you. Don't let anything like that, because I am a preacher's daughter. Some people don't realize that, but they follow my stuff, they'll know. I'm a preacher's kid, and I don't get into religion or politics on my show because I'm there to help solve cold cases. And I don't care what their politics or their religion is. I'm there to solve cases. But I believe every human was put here for a purpose. I believe there was a little spark of creativity. There was a little light put in everyone. And everybody that wants to write a book, there is a reason why you want to write that book. Yeah, it's not some vanity, some external thing. Somebody needs to read that book. If you want to write it, there's somebody out there that needs to read it. Because even fiction books, people don't realize fiction is so vital to our society. People need that escape. And you can teach so much through fiction that people don't even realize that they're being encouraged, they're being uplifted. There's heroes in the stories, there's things to push them forward. And so I always tell people, the main thing, don't let anything stop you. If you have something to write, there is a reason for it, and there's some other human on this planet that needs to hear it.
That's a great word.
Hey, wow. Very good. We're going to run out of time. I think we got less than 2 minutes, but it's been great. I just want listeners to know. So one of the things with your broken back, and I heard both of you say, write every day. Right, I know you said every day you write, and you said the same thing. So I think that's extremely important. You can't just write once a week and think you're going to be an author someday. Right. So great advice, both of you. I tell you what, you are both being a difference maker. That's what I always look for. Who's going to be the difference maker in our communities? Yeah. Don's always looking for what?
Who's going to be the change?
And you both are change makers too. Yes. So I applaud you both for that. We really appreciate you both being here, and continued good luck. And you're helping, not only you're helping yourself, you're helping hopefully thousands of other people. And we really appreciate that. So we'll be back next Wednesday. In fact, the whole month of November, we've just got some great guests, just like the two today. Is what's making our show is the great guests, the quality of guests that we have. And so, Don, what do we always say at the end?
Be the change.
Be the change. We'll be back next Wednesday.
You dream this land stays free under God, not tyranny. That's what it means.